guys, Stick here once again from Social Paintball, and another show that we're going to do. This is going to be a little bit of a short one, and another thing that spawned from my chat room days and watching people argue out all these little minutia of paintball, and that is Etek3 or Dangerous Power Effects. Both stacked tube poppet valves, very similar in aesthetics and somewhat similar in performance. So let's go down there and just go over some of the superficial and interior differences of the two so that you can, make a better decision. Find out what you like better. Let's take a look. Hello everyone once again, and we're going to take a look at the two popular mid-range poppet valve guns, the Dangerous Power Effects and the Etek3. This is the LT model, and this is the model with the composite glass reinforced nylon parts, trigger frame, feed neck, eye covers, that kind of stuff. Now, the Dangerous Power Effects is all aluminum. There is an all aluminum version of this. You already knew that, but just stuff I had to point out for you. Now, we have the, let's start with just the purely aesthetic differences. Zoom in just a little bit. You can see that, actually no, let's zoom back out. See the body shapes of either. So we got this one and that one. Now, actually very similar in body shape. As you can see, size-wise, they are quite the same in terms of length from back of the grip to the front of the regulator. And yeah, feed neck on this one is much shorter. Well, not much shorter, a little bit shorter. But I do prefer the feed neck design of the Etek, simply because, see on the inside here, let me zoom in for you. This is stuff a lot of people know, but what are we doing? We're comparing. So we've got those little teeth on the inside of there. Now, ostensibly, they're to grip your loader more effectively, but what I find that they end up doing is just cutting little grooves, because it's not like a gnarled texture. They're just little, little grooves in there. They'll cut little grooves into your loader, and after a while it won't pop out, it might start to spin. I've seen it do that a couple of times, and it's not a big issue, but whatever. Okay, so for me, one of the most important factors of a gun is the trigger, and you have two dramatically different triggers on either gun. The Etek3 has a very good trigger. In this price range, you're talking in the Axe, the Etek3, the Dangerous Power Effects. Of those, I'd say that the Etek3 is probably tied for first with the Axe in terms of trigger quality. And let's zoom in, you'll see the trigger. Here we go. It's a very nice blade design, very smooth trigger. The bearings are awesome. There's very little side-to-side play, and it's just a solid trigger. It feels a little light, it doesn't feel like it has a lot of body to it, which I kind of like, but it's still extremely smooth. Amazing for walking. The FX trigger is the trigger that you saw first in the Revy. It's that switchblade trigger where it can do this, or if you turn it, it can do that. Now, it's still smooth, but not as smooth. It's got a little bit more, I guess it's got a little bit more robustness in terms of the spring tension, but there's a little more side-to-side play in it, and I just don't like it as much as the Etek3. Just not my cup of tea, I guess you could call. So, alright, the grips are actually also dramatically different. The Dangerous Power Effects has a much more traditional style of grip with the two screws, and it's a very hard, not a very hard, but it's a pretty damn hard rubber. And there's nothing spectacular about it, really. It's just a flat grip. It's got these things in front for your two bottom fingers, which I appreciate as opposed to panel grips, but it looks like it's more for show than anything else. And while it's grippy, it just doesn't feel as inviting, I guess is the word that I would use, as the Etek3. The Etek3 grips are this soft, pliable rubber. You all know, you've felt, hopefully most of you have felt ego grips before, but those that haven't, I recommend going out and holding these things, because the grips itself, not even the grip frame shape, the grips itself are so inviting. It's a very soft rubber. The only thing that I would say on par with the Planet Eclipse grips are the die grips, the ultralight grip. That is also a very inviting, soft, comfortable grip. And when it comes to the way you feel when you're holding the gun, the Etek3 absolutely surpasses the Dangerous Power Effects. This is a much more traditional and therefore kind of blocky and stiff feel. And when you combine that with the trigger, which isn't as smooth as the Etek3, as far as holding a gun, you're just going to get a lot more pleasure out of the Etek3. All right, let's zoom back out. Do we need to? No, I was probably wrong to zoom back out. Let's zoom back in. Okay. All right, what else are we going to look at here? So the triggers now the regulators are actually remarkably similar, and that's going to be explained in depth in a later show when I do a breakdown. But the internal functions of the regulator are extremely similar, and the performance of either are, well, ostensibly they're on par. I haven't done any severe testing with them, but they both function well, and on the inside they look almost identical. So take that for what it's worth. Oh yeah, the grips. Now the Dangerous Power Effects includes a screen. It's an OLED screen, I believe. How do I turn this on? Just kidding. It doesn't have a battery in it, but that's beside the point. It does have a screen. Etek3 does not. That's a feature that's found in the Egos, or if you were to get this in the all-metal version, you would be able to then upgrade it to include a screen, but that's pointless. I don't see the need for it, and this one does have a screen, if you so choose to really need a gun with a screen. Is that a difference that I would particularly care for? No, it's not. Now, in terms of operation, this is your typical stack tube poppet with an LPR in the front, and the bolt moves forward and back as per the LPR operation. And Dangerous Power Effects, however, has no LPR. This thing is not an LPR. This is a volumizer. The HPR runs the entire gun, including the operation of the bolt. Now, the operation of the Dangerous Power Effects is not your typical, well, I guess, it's not what you would expect out of a stack tube poppet gun. It is a FASR design, which is an acronym for Forward Air Spring Assist Return. So the solenoid activates and pushes the bolt in the ram forward, and then the spring pops it back. So forward air, spring operated return. FASR. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In terms of shooting, I find that the Dangerous Power Effects is a little bit harsher. It feels like there's a lot more vibration than on the Etek3. They're both about as loud in terms of sound signature, and that's really the only difference in terms of performance. They perform about the same. And where I really think the differentiation exists is in the way you are going to interact with either gun. And that comes really down to the grip and the trigger, and for some people, the board, which includes the screen. Now, to me, a screen is not as important as an extremely comfortable experience, and that is what you'll get in the Etek3 with this amazing grip and a superior trigger as compared to this. All right, now each of these guns we're going to go very, very in depth. We're going to take either one apart and show you the inner workings of them in a later video. And the Etek3 was loaned out to me for review and all of that good stuff by Etek Girl on TechPB. She's a BST moderator on there and a good friend of mine, and she was nice enough to loan this out. This was loaned out to me by MJ Blount on TechPB, a member that's also supportive of what I do here, and supportive of education. So that's the two. Just wanted to do a bit of an overview of the differences between the two, because if you choose to go with a mid-range stack tube poppet, these are probably the two options that you're looking at, and you should be aware of what the differences are. My personal preference, I'd certainly take an Etek3 over the DPFX. And that's just the way I feel about it. You can draw your own conclusions, try to touch them both, and experience what it is to interact with the gun on your own. Thank you.